So thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Um, to start with, I will try as much as possible for us to make this very lively. Let me turn down the settings here. Okay, let me just turn it off. So yeah, I will try as much as possible to make this like very interactive because I don't just want to be talking. I feel like what is much more important with us as traders is that we are able to actually decipher a clear understanding of what we are dealing with and how we can work on ourselves, our minds, to become better. So I typed on my screen, what is trading psychology really? You know, when you start the process of trying to trade, that's after you have gotten scammed, or you saw someone's Lambo, or you saw Ferrari or whatever online, and then you decided to want to try to trade, right? Most of the time what you are seeing is the fancy side or the results, not the process. You are seeing the result, so a lot of the times we are often attracted because of the result. But for me, it was a little bit different. I knew about trading from an ad in, I think that should be 2019. So it was IQ options. So I would say at the end of the day, I still sort of like got attracted by the fancy stuff, and that is not really a bad thing, to be very honest, because if we as humans, right, if someone is trying to sell something to you, or if someone is trying to introduce you to something, you would love to see the result of that stuff, right? So trading psychology, for the most part, is what actually goes on in the mind of the trader that a lot of people don't see. It entails each and every individual trader. So a lot of the times, the process that I as a trader will go through might not necessarily be the same process that you, Blessing, as a trader would go through. The reason is because even though we are following the same principles, right? Because everything, to fix yourself as a human, like, there are set principles that you would necessarily follow, but we might not have the same experience even using those principles, because we are different humans in terms of like our experiences. So what I want to talk about today, I will start with accepting the risk. So let me just bear with me. I think if I'm gonna be doing this next time, I will prepare a proper slide. So what I will do is accepting the risk. I'm just going to be typing here. So you know, a lot of the times when we also start trading, right? And I know, for Blessing, you have been trading for quite some time now, and we've had a chat, and we know how well and how vast you are in understanding your strategy and how you trade and all of those things. But oftentimes we begin to understand that, is it really strategy that is the problem of a trader? Is it that you don't have a good strategy, or your strategy is not good enough, or your win rate is low? We found out a lot of the times, right? Sorry, just a second. We found out that a lot of the times it is way beyond just, I have a good strategy, I'm trading ICT, I'm trading SMC, whatever. there are a lot of the times much more there is much more for us to do in terms of how we approach the market, way more than our strategy. So let's say that everyone that is on this call, and for those that are also
is frustrating.
Oh, you can't hear me? Hello? Okay, I'll just go ahead anyways. So, please let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, great.
Just right now.
Okay. So, I was saying, oftentimes there is a lot more for us to do than just we have a good strategy, we trade ICT, we trade SMC, we trade support and resistance, whatever it is. There is usually a lot more in terms of the type of work that we need to do, that we need to put in for ourselves. So where does that work begin? Is a lot of the things that new traders or traders that are in the process, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, we find it difficult to actually note where exactly should we start working on ourselves. Because when you start trading, you'll be like, oh, is my strategy, maybe after taking 5 losses, 3 losses and stuff, you'll be like, is this strategy that I'm using, is my entry criteria, it is my break-even rule, it is where I'm entering my trade, or it is where I'm exiting, blah blah blah. All of those things, we pay attention to them, but we forget the most important part. The most important part, when they say, okay, you as a trader, you need to have an hedge, we often forget that it is not just a system. We often forget that it is not just a system that is an hedge. You as a person, as a trader, you are also an hedge. The reason is because if you as a trader you are not an hedge, you will underperform your trading system. A lot of times you would make mistakes, you would do things that will cause your trading system to perform lesser than it's supposed to be, even though you have a good data to back it up. You have so many things to back it up to be sure of yourself. You've seen other people trade it, you've seen maybe your mentor make so much money from it. Right now, accepting the risk is about you get to a stage where you have with every fiber of your being that if I put on a trade, I don't know if it's going to be a win or a loss. Even though you have a system, right? You have an hedge that give you the higher chance, like you have a higher probability that a trade will go in your direction. But the reality of it is that you don't know if that particular trade is going to be the one that will go in your direction, or you don't know even in the kind of pattern how it will go in your direction. Maybe it will come close to your stop loss first and then go against you and play around your entry for like 2 hours or 4 hours before it then goes into your favor, right? Or it will even stop you out first before it then eventually goes into your favor. So many of these things, there are some of the unseen things that we have to accept. So accepting risk is about, number one, I'm putting so and so amount of money on the table, right? I'm putting say $500 on the table to know if I am wrong or I am right. Accepting that risk alone usually takes a lot of headache, right? Because even though we are putting on a risk, you say, okay, I'm risking 1%, but are you accepting firsthand that this 1% that I'm putting on, I'm accepting that if this 1% go against me, it won't affect me on taking the next trade? Because when we have a stop loss of 1%, what did I just? Did I just hear? Okay, I thought I had something. All right, cool. So when we have a stop loss of 1% risk, right? But when we get into the trade and then it's coming so close to your stop loss, and then you suddenly take out the trade, like, oh, I don't want to take a loss. You say, okay. Sometimes it is you feel happy because maybe the trade continues to go against you. You feel like, okay, I did the right thing. I was able to save myself from getting stopped out. I was able to save myself from taking a full loss. But what you are trying to do at that moment is already telling yourself that you are not accepting the risk that you are putting on, even though you said you want to take a 1% risk. So it is one of the very, very important things and a lot of hard work to do as a trader for you to tell yourself that if I say I want to risk 1%, I will put the 1% on and I will have to find out if I am right or I am wrong. Now, being right or being wrong is not something that is bad, but we perceive it as negative because the market on its own is always neutral. You see, so currently now, for example, I'm on this trade, and as of now, the trade is going quite okay, but it looks like it's a little bit of retracement is happening right now. But this retracement is almost insignificant to the number of peak movement that has happened here. Of course, the markets that can start turning all the way around and eventually come and stop me out at break even for this trade. But what I have accepted ahead of time before taking this trade is that once I get into a trade, I have a system that says if my trade goes into a particular level, I scale into the position and I move my stop loss into break even. There are a lot of times that the market will come back to stop me out after it has gone significantly well in profit. There are a lot of times it keeps going in my favor. But at every point that I experience those things, I have to always accept the outcome. But this is very difficult, it goes way beyond the word of mouth. Because say for example now, you put a risk of $100 and it has gone so well in your direction, you are already seeing like $500. And based on your system is saying that you should take profit at let's say $600, but the profit is already at 500, right? There are higher chances that you want to take out that profit that is already at 500 and not wait for it to get to 600. The reason is because there is also a pain. Pain is not just the pain of loss that we experience. We also experience the pain of not wanting profit to go against us, right? We always want to avoid the pain of, oh, I have seen so and so amount of money. I don't want it to go against me again. I don't want to lose that amount of money. And there are usually two sides to this thing. Now, the most difficult part of trading, as far as I'm concerned, is actually to learn how to take profit. Because often the entry criteria is usually very easy. Right? The reason why I said it's usually very easy is because, okay, say what is what is most preached in the whole space is entry criteria. You say, okay, you W pattern when something mitigates this one, when liquidity is grabbed, when so like what we pay so much attention to is usually entry criteria, how to get into a trade. We don't pay attention so much to how are we going to manage the trade. We don't pay so much attention to how are we going to get out of the trade, right? Some people say, okay, I will get out at a particular, maybe 50 pips, 20 pips. Some say I will get out at a level. If market gets to a level, I will get out there. But the reality of this sometimes is that, how do you feel when, for example, market goes in your favor by say 100 pips, you closed out only to see the market go in your favor 200 pips. How are you going to feel? Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Obax, how are you going to feel if you get into a trade and then the trade goes, say, 100 pips, right? And you close out, say you are contented, but you then later see the trade go in your favor continuously, like 200 pips. How are you going to feel? Will you feel any form of regret at all, or you always be contented with what you have, what you got? Did you hear what I said? Looks like your internet is not. Yeah, I'm not sure his internet. I'm not sure his internet is very good. Yeah. So, anyways, for me, obviously this is not for everybody. There are some people that they found a way to be okay with whatever they get from the market, and I too have learned to be okay and be contented with whatever the market is giving me. But I have tried as much as possible to build a system around the definition of being okay, right? Because there will be times where the market will go in your favor so well, and then there will be times it will go to a certain level and it will retrace. Like, a part of me right now is telling me to go and close my trade because of the way this 12 o'clock candle is behaving and it's about to close. But then, if I close the trade now and then market continues to go in my favor, this was what happened to me yesterday. I know that this is the emotional side of me that is saying that, oh, I know what is going to happen, in terms of, like, if I don't go close my trade now, I know that what happened to me yesterday will happen to me today. But there is no association between this trade and the one that happened yesterday, because the outcomes are unique, right? Even though we use the same criteria to get into a trade, let's say for example now I got into this trade because, okay, I saw a bullish engulfing candle, I saw W chart pattern, and then I saw a form of like a fake out on a structure level, all of those things, and then psychology level as well. But the reality of it is that even though I use the same criteria to enter the previous trade that I enter, it still does not mean that the outcome is going to be the same. The outcome is unique of itself. So what that brings me to next is talking about the illusion of association. I think there is news by 1:30. Okay. There is unemployment claims and this thing by 1:30. Let's see what's gonna happen. Yeah. So the number 2 point I want to talk about is the illusion of association. So illusion of association is us storing up memories, right? So I will use an illustration which some might have experienced, some might have not. So when we were younger, there were situations where some of us found it difficult to approach a dog, right? Because we've had experiences where maybe the dog beat someone, or the dog even beat us ourselves. But for example, Aki now, I believe Aki is very much a dog person, and I'm not sure he's even afraid of any type of dog before, right? But I have seen a dog chase my mom, and there are some type of dogs that I don't want to associate myself with, if you understand what I mean. So association in terms of, like, I'll use the illustration of a small child, say 2 or 3 years old, seeing a dog for the first time in his life, has never seen a dog before, has never experienced a dog before. Then the dog comes to him. The children are always very, very curious, always wanting to experience something new. The child goes to the dog. Unfortunately, the dog beats the child, right? When the dog beats the child starts crying and stuff, and then eventually maybe they were able to remove the dog from the child's body. The information that goes into that child's head from that moment is that all dogs are bad, or all dogs will bite you, regardless of the reality that there are some dogs that are extremely friendly, there are some dogs that are not extremely, that are very, very crazy, right? So relating this back to trading, there are so many times that because of the way we are wired as humans, right, we tend to associate what has happened to us previously or some years back. We tend to associate with it what we are currently experiencing, or some things we might experience in the future. So, and the reason usually is because those things, they have characters that are similar to each other. So in the case of the child, the reason why the child agrees that all dogs are bad is because one dog beat him. Now in the future, say the child now sees another dog that is very friendly, that is very chill and calm. The child does not care if the dog is friendly or if the dog is crazy and stuff. All he wants to do is to disappear out of that experience, run away as fast as possible from that place. But the dog, being friendly, is acting in its natural state, and is wanting to play with the dog, trying to show the child that there is also another side of dogs that are very, very, very playful. So relating this to trading, right, we have this human memory that readily, because some things have characters to each other, right, that is one of the things that breeds racism, let me put it that way. So for example, maybe you experience a black person doing something to you. You then take it as all black people do that particular thing. Or you experience a Chinese person do something to you, then you then say all Chinese people do that thing. But the reality of it is that not in English, I think they call it fallacy of hasty generalization or something. Yeah, because the truth of it is that not all Chinese are that way. Not all Africans, or not all Nigerians, or not all English people are in that particular way that you are perceiving that one person out of like maybe 1,000 or 10,000 is. So with our trading, a lot of times we associate the effect of one trade, we associate it to all of our other trades, or the trades that we take consequently. So if you are maybe on a losing streak, right, you've had 3 losses back to back, it will be difficult for you to take on the next trade compared to if you are on a winning streak. If you are on a winning streak, you will have confidence. You will want to say, okay, let me take on this next trade because I've been winning. I'm confident that the next trade will also be a winner. But the chances of you winning on the next trade or losing on the next trade are actually 50-50. You can't know. I hope what I'm saying is making sense to you guys though. Can I?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay, cool. So Blessing, in your own experience, I want you to if there is anything you want us to talk about, because now I think it's just the three of us, and I would love that this won't just be a waste of time. If there is anything you have been experiencing in your trading that you feel like you want to talk about, or you feel like we can discuss and help each other out, yeah, please go ahead and share. Let's see how we can help ourselves, right?
So I think lately, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
So lately, I think one thing I've realized is that it's one thing to know something, it's another thing to experience, like to have an affirmation. Okay, oh, it's more like proverb. There's a proverb that you can be saying a proverb that this is the situation why they say that proverb, but you won't really have the in-depth of that proverb, unlike the people that came about that proverb, that they've experienced it personally before they now say, okay, well, let's come up with this proverb.
Yeah.
Fine, since my early days in learning, they've always said that it's not about strategy, it's about your psychology. It's not strategy is not an holy grail.
Yeah.
By book or by reading or by just paying attention to what the OGs in the game, what they always say. I know it, but it's until recently that I started seeing it personally for myself. So it's one thing to have. Now I've seen it personally for myself. It's different from the time that I've not seen it personally by myself.
Yeah.
So you get.
Yeah.
So right now, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm looking for. I'm now seeing the reason why most traders will say that keep it simple. Don't get things complicated.
Yeah.
Just know what you are looking for. Okay, I already know all those things. Then why do I still end up eating SL? Fine, SL is normal.
Yeah.
But sometimes I will get out of a trade. I will just ask myself, okay, you saw all this, your confirmation. Why didn't you enter?
Yeah.
Nobody told me that after learning strategy, sometimes fear will be making you to push back. I don't want to press the buy or sell button because I don't want to lose. Nobody is telling me that, okay, once you enter a trade, once you just see this thing and you enter, it's easy to say, set TP, set SL.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at the chart, as the candle is going, once I'm seeing a sign of reversal, I'll be like, say my eyes that I've seen $100 profit, say
It
I
will
will now
now
go back to
disappear.
$0 or minus 50.
Yeah.
Nobody is saying that battle of the mind. So it's not like a battle of the mind and the chart. Meanwhile, the chart is just doing its own thing. The chart doesn't even know if I exist or if anyone exists. It's just doing what it's meant to be doing.
Yeah.
So this thing raised a lot of questions in my heart. Like, okay, now the battle of strategy is even the least out of these things. And one thing I've been able to realize with how I've been trading recently is that most times our psychology in trading is in one way a reflection of our personality in real life. For example, if you've seen somebody that has strong mind, that they don't care this thing at all, a part of that will reflect in their trading style. Or probably you see somebody that in real life, they are extremely conservative, like they are so conservative. A part of that will reflect in their trading lifestyle. So I feel like it's now a duty of a trader to find a balance of maybe if your lifestyle, if the part of that your lifestyle that is reflecting your trading, if it's good for your trading or not. Being too conservative is not so good. Being extremely aggressive too is not so good.
Yeah.
There has to be a balance.
Balance in between the two.
Yeah. So that's what how like trading, how it has opened my eyes for, as it is for, because I would say that the last 1 or 2 months now has been distinct for me compared to how I've been trading last year, all through last year. It has been distinct for me. Plus maybe because I took a break from trading when I was sick, and coming back again, I don't just want to do things. And I know that thing I realize is that if we can always be thoughtful or be mindful of everything we are doing regarding trading, when we take losses, some losses are normal, some losses are not normal. But there are some little things, little spice about this thing that it's only when we pay full attention that this thing, nobody can discover it for you. Even if I go to a pro trader, maybe the best trader in the whole world, and I'm explaining this thing, there's this part of myself that I will be the one to figure out. Like, nobody can figure that out for me.
Absolutely.
They can only use their discretion, they can only use their experience to guide me.
Yeah.
But that discovery is personal.
Absolutely. I feel you, bro.
So let me just pause there for now.
Okay, makes sense. So some of the things you have said, right, they are like very, very valid, because I've one of the things that trading has even done for me is it has made me realize that anything that is going on in my life, like personally in personal life, is actually a result of how much I'm paying attention to my inner self, not the things that are going on the outside. Because one thing that trading we expose people to, but a lot of people don't also know this, is that trading, it's all in your control. If you want to take it to destroy your life, or you want to make it to make your life better, it's all in your control. Because just as the way life in itself is, there is virtually almost nobody, right, except if the person is under the influence. And I even feel like if you're under the influence of something, you can break yourself if you actually look inwards. So say for example, because say you would know if you are doing something bad in or something that is, at least to your own conscience, feels bad. You will know if you are doing it in real life. Say for example, now if you are someone that naturally you don't smoke or you don't do drugs, and then you go do drugs, it's going to feel bad to you, and you will know it, that this is bad for me. But it then takes you to be disciplined enough to recognize that this is bad. Then how can I get out of this? How can I do better? Right? And a lot of times with trading, one of the things I used to do is I used to compare myself with people a lot. I would look at what is that person doing, what is that one doing, how they, because earlier on in my journey, like you said too, it is one thing to know something, it is another thing to be like execute what you know and experience it. So before I even started trading, I have read Trading in the Zone, I have read Discipline Trader, I have read a lot of psychological books, I've read Market Wizards, episode 1 and episode 2, and I've seen how all of those big traders that were making crazy money, how some of them made crazy money and lost it all, how some of them made money, changed their life and all of those things. And even though I know most of those things that I was not supposed to do, because I have not navigated it by myself, when I came into trading, I found it difficult to actually execute most of the things that they were telling me not to do. I eventually did them. So this is where you see people that go take signals, right? One of the reasons why taking signals of other people is sort of like a safe haven, quote unquote. It's like you are not really taking responsibilities if you are taking signals from people, because with trading, right, everything is in your control. And in as much as we say, oh, I want freedom, I want to be free, I want to do this, I want to do that, the freedom that trading gives you also requires you to create rules. The freedom that trading gives you requires you to make systems that you have to follow, systems that you have to stay true to, and let the system work out things by its own way. So that way, I found out that I knew so many things, but so many of the things that I knew, they were useless to me. The reason is because I was only taking the experiences of other people and trying to put into my own trading, and not actually use my own experience in itself and use it to develop myself. So at that time, I found out that I was analyzing too much and all of these things. You also said something that is very, very important, which is if you are conservative, it will affect your trading. If you are too aggressive, it will affect your trading. That is also very true. And in my own situation, when I started, I was very, very conservative, right? Like, I would think and think and think before I enter a trade, and then eventually when I enter the trade, I would, before it even goes anywhere, I will close out the trade, or something. Something will just happen. Either I mess the trade up, or I don't let the trade play out the way it should. And there will also be times where I'm supposed to risk, say, maybe 1%. I would, out of fear, risk 0.5 or even lesser and stuff like that. So later on, I begin to learn that no matter how conservative I try to want to protect or want to avoid losses, or not want to take pain, I feel like most of these things, they are also some level of pain. And there are times that we subconsciously even do these things and we don't know that we are doing them, because naturally, if you are in a situation where maybe you face a lion, or the way our mind is, you face a lion, the next thing that comes to your mind is to either freeze or find a way to run and escape. And these things happens to us in trading, where we don't really know what is going to happen. So when that shock of what happens in the market comes, we are always usually very impulsive. And that impulse sometimes make us to take decisions that are not usually like best for us. Some of them might work out at the moment, but in the long run, if one continue in that type of pattern, it becomes usually like not the best of things to do, right? Not the best of behavior to have. So I would just not want to take a trade, or I will risk more and stuff, and then I will only make small profit. Then later on, I started reading books that say, okay, you have to scale into your positions. Then my mentor used to do that, like enter multiple positions. But for me, it was a difficult thing to understand, because I'd be like, when you enter a position like this, once you add more, you are already risking more of your money, right? You are risking larger. So how do you manage those situations, or how do you manage the trade? Then I begin to find more information, and then at the end of the day, finding all of those informations, what I eventually found out that adding to your position is not even a matter of I want to make more money. It is a matter of I want to be able to tell my mind that I am not scared. I want to be able to tell my mind that I'm comfortable to see a certain level of money go away. I want to be able to tell my mind that I'm okay if the profit I have seen goes into a loss. I want to be able to tell my mind that if I'm in a trade, I followed my system, and then market is now retracing against me, I'm okay, right? I'm comfortable with whatever it is that the market is doing, and I'm not going to be emotional about it. I'm not going to self-sabotage myself, right? So I then now realize that, oh, so when you say I'm adding to my positions, it's not actually just for making more money sake alone. It is also for me to build a level of confidence in myself, that for me to understand that there are chances that when I get into a trade, the market can continue to go in my favor, right? If the market continues to go in my favor, then I should be able to make more from that move. Of course, there will be times where the market will retrace all the way back and hit your stop loss, but at the same time, it is accepting that painful process of the market come back to stop you out. You still accept it and then be okay that yes, this has stopped me out, I'm fine with it, but I'm going to move on to the next trade. I am going to take the next action that is required of me, and not get bothered by the outcome of the previous trade. I will not get bothered by what happened to me in the previous trade. So at the end of the day, once we quickly start looking at ourselves from the perspective of it is all in my hands to work out, in terms of like how I perceive most of the information that the market is sending to me. So let me use this current trade that I'm in, for example, now. So if you are okay, I'm not very sure if you guys can see this, but so I got in here. This is my first position, this is my second position right now, and then the trade is retracing to my second entry right now. So at a point now, this trade has gone 50 pips into profit, and at a point I was making 2.7 on this one. At a point I was making about 1-1 on this one, on this trade. So altogether, if I had closed, at least I would have made 1-3, right? But sorry, just a second. But that is not the way I trade in terms of my system. Now, market is coming against me. How do I feel? The most important thing to now understand is that I don't even have to feel anything. The reason is because once I start feeling that I'm start perceiving information from how this candle is going down against me, then that way my mind will want to start putting me in a position where I start looking for options to avoid the pain, options to escape the pain, right? Now, all my risk is still all 1%, because this already is in profit, is in break even. This already, okay, this one now, the stop loss is lower. So eventually, if I get stopped out, right, which is very, very possible, is even very likely in the next few minutes, because news is coming out. If I get stopped out, my 1% risk that I have decided, I've told myself that I accept this 1% risk is what is at stake, right? So if I get stopped out, what is making me to feel pain at the moment of, oh, this trade is going against me, is because in a way my mind might be associating this current trade to what happened to me yesterday, or my mind can be associating this current trade now to telling me that I'm going to feel pain when I get stopped out. But then how I now begin to approach this is that there is really no pain to feel, there is really nothing to perceive. The reason is because ahead of time I've already accepted that this 1% risk that I'm putting on is what I'm going to be putting on at every increment where the market goes in my favor. So at every 20 pip level, when I scale into a new position and I put my stop loss at the previous one. Now what I'm accepting is still the 1% risk until the market goes in. If it then goes against me, right, and then eventually goes to stop me out for break even on the first entry and then for a stop loss on the second entry, I'm going to lose 1%. But if it goes in my favor, there are higher chances I will make much more than what I'm looking out for. But even for target, right, for this market now, if I close out this trade now and then I see the market go all the way back up to this structure, to this previous support that could turn to resistance, how am I going to feel? I'm going to be so pissed off. That is me. It might not be the situation for the other person, but if it then goes to stop me out, how am I going to feel? I'll feel some level of pain, but I'm already used to it, right? I'm already okay with it in terms of like, that is what I have accepted. That is the reality that I've accepted, because I have seen several times that my emotions has let me down. Let me just use that word for the essence of no better word. Has let me down in terms of I have closed so many trades out of fear, run away from trades because I don't want the profit, only to see market. I think I was sharing with Obags yesterday, sir, and I think I had a trade from here. I've been holding since Tuesday, so my stop loss was above this structure. I've been holding since Tuesday, and then market did all of this drama. I was okay with that. I accepted everything, even though there are several times my mind was saying close out, but I told myself I will just follow my trading plan. I will just follow what I have in mind. And at a point, right, market got to this place, gave me 1, 2, 3. I was on the chart, then I left the chart. I came back, I saw market somewhere here. Eventually, I moved my stop loss. Based off of my rule, right, I moved my stop loss into this place. My stop loss was here. My stop loss was here, and if this market has come back to stop me out all the way here, I will make 1% on this trade, and then the other scaling position that I was here would be almost at break even as well. But when I saw this candle here at 3:45 p.m. out of fear of, oh, I have seen 1, 2, 3, I don't want to give it back, I closed my trade out eventually for maybe 1.5 or 1.7 thereabout, only for it to see immediately what happened. With this momentum, what will be the expectation is that the market will immediately turn around. But that is my own expectation in my mind, of me expecting that the market will do something. But in reality, the market will not do anything for me. The market will do what it wants. So this trade now is now for me to now accept that this market can go down and stop me out. At the same time, it can turn around, right? Going back to accepting risk. I put my stop loss, close out the trade, then only for me to see later on, immediately the next candle, retrace everything back, stalled, and then woke up this morning for me to see market go here, almost my TP point. And then I ran away out of this place. But so these are some of the things that even for me, right, I'm working on myself, and the reason, which is one of the most important essence for me doing this webinar or live, whatever we want to call it, is that there are so many of us Nigerians, whatever, that even other type of people, right, we've sacrificed some time to learn the technical side of trading. We've sacrificed some time to try as much as possible to understand the market. But the reality of it is that no matter how much time, how much money we pay for mentorship, we pay for strategy, we try to understand the market, we are still going to fail. Because it is not about understanding the market, it is about understanding ourselves. When we now understand ourselves, the detail of it is that whatever the market will do, we don't associate it. Because, one of the very, very crazy emotions that I feel a lot of times, And I initially, when I first joined my mentorship, my Jeffrey's mentorship back then, it was one of the things that he was always talking about. There are a lot of times that I will feel like I will sit in front of the chart for days, no trade. And those times, some kind of emotions will come into you, saying that maybe you are just jobless, you are just sitting down, you are not doing anything. There will also be times where your mind will want to be busy. You know, a lot of times our mind is playing on us, is doing different type of things. You want to be busy in terms of like, you want to get into a trade when there is no setup, or you want to quickly force your entry confirmation when it has not formed. You want to just get in, you want to just make sure that you are involved. Because this week now, I've only taken 2 trades. This week. One was pretty much like a break even, one was a loss. And there will be times where, okay, and this one now, this current trade is the 3rd one. And there are some weeks that I've only taken 1 trade. There will be times where my mind will be like, yeah, just they sit down for front of chart, but we have to teach ourselves to not approach trading the way we approach normal life, in terms of like, oh, you have to be busy or you have to do hard work to make money. Yes, there is the part of hard work, which is you back test, you forward test, you test out your strategy, you learn so many things on it. After you have done that part, there is also the part of waiting patiently and trusting the market to do what the market will do. Because no matter how you try, no matter what you learn, you can't move the market, except you are a billionaire or trillionaire, or you have investment, so much money. You can't move the market by your emotions. If you like, worry about a trade tomorrow, the market will not move. The market will not go anywhere. It will go, if you like, have mitigation, have fair value gap, have everything, you go still chop stop loss. Have structure to make, like, so all of these things, there are things that we have to accept. And when you hit stop loss, it does not mean that you are a terrible person. Because, so, okay, yeah, sure, no worries, man. Go ahead. The fact that you hit stop loss or you lose a trade does not associate that you are a terrible person, or you are not doing well in life, or you are not progressing. No, because several times we've associated failure or slow growth, we've associated with not doing anything or not having any progress at all. And all of these things, sometimes they affect us negatively in trading, because you are in front of the charts and your mind is just like, I have to get into a trade this week. Or what if there is no setup this week at all? What if there is no setup next week? Then you forcefully want to get into a trade just to make yourself feel busy. That is why it is also important to make sure that when we are in the process of growing to be a good trader, you have to be able to focus your mind on what is important. What is important in terms of like is not about business. The number of trades you take in trading does not equal to the amount of money you will make. So if you take 100 trades and then there is someone that just take 5 trades or 10 trades, there are higher chances the person will make more money than you, because it's not a matter of I'm entering the trade, I'm entering that trade. It is usually the quality of it, and then we are accepting that regardless of how high the quality of the trade is, it could still be a loss. And if it ends up being a loss, it does not make us a bad person, or it does not make us slow in life, or it does not make us, we can always associate all of these things to maybe I didn't do well, I failed, but it is none of those things, right? So at the end of the day, we have to always be very, very objective in how we match things together, because our minds are always matching things. We are always trying to match things together based off of experience, right? You want to match this one to this one, you want to match that one to this one, but not everything we experience, especially in trading, right? Not everything that we experience is matched together. They are all unique in their own ways. You get? So I think for today, those are the two major stuffs I want to reiterate and talk about, for us to actually realize that we are much more a better trader if we keep looking inwards rather than looking outwards. We are much more we will be much more progressive and profitable if we are looking at what are the things that we as our human self is causing us to do. Because yes, there is the part of you having a good strategy. Like it is even the number one thing to do, to have a good strategy, to have a good edge. But oftentimes it is not just about the system alone, because the system can be very good. The system can be very good, but you are not very good. You are not performing. You are not, because you are still the one executing it. So far, you are not putting a bot to take all the trades, or so far your human self is involved. It requires you to be on a level where you are performing very well in part to the system that you are trading. So yeah, at the end of the day, I believe that we can all have the success we dream of and we admire and all of those things. It's just about us, we really paying attention first to ourselves and really forgetting about others, right? Forgetting about others in terms of, like, if you some of the traders that we see online, that we hail, we look at and all of those things, some of them don't even have a better win rate than us. Some new traders or early growing traders have like very great win rates than so many influencers or whatever. But the thing is, we when we are performing, right, the difference is that the good traders knows fully well that the outcome of one trade does not define them. The outcome of one trade does not define their strategy. So they are fully ready to accept with the whole of their mind that if this trade is a loss, I'm ready to take the next trade without any attachment of the previous trade. Without any at all. Like, no matter how little, they don't have any of those things, and then they still accept the result or the outcome of even the next trade, because they know fully well that even this next trade, right, could still be a win or a loss. I think news just came out. Is it good? So even the next trade can either be a win or a loss. It is not something for you to decide. It is not something within your power. It is not something within your capacity to control. Like, it is out of your control. There is nothing too crazy about the news, but these days market has not been, yeah, it has not even been reacting to news, and it's quite interesting, you know. Is it avoid news? Me these days, I don't they avoid any news. Make the news chop my accounts. May you do what you want to do. So is
the essence that we suffer for it,
bro. Like, it's just having that full understanding of how this thing works. And sometimes, right, it requires that we we actually be patient with ourselves as well. We actually really learn who we are, because only very few industry or skill sets will expose you to yourself the way trading does. With trading, you are just like, you are facing yourself. There is no boss. There is no, you can't say that, it's my teammate that did not do what he's supposed to do, or my teammate did not do his assignment, or my teammate did not do their work. For example, say maybe in a tech company and stuff, and you have teammates and all of those things. You can't go and blame your teammate that my teammate did not do what he was supposed to do, all of those things. There is no teammate involved. You get, you are your own teammate. You are your accountant. You are your boss. You are everything to yourself, and you have to be ready to function at that level, right? You are also your psychologist. You must be ready at every point to put yourself in check, to ask questions of yourself, right? So for me now, one of the biggest questions I've been asking myself of recent is, why am I underperforming? Like, what are the things that are holding me back to actually get the result that I'm supposed to get, right? One of the prop firm accounts I've been trading, like, those accounts should be cleared by now, based off of what I've done. But I'm still, some of the accounts are even in drawdown. Some of them are in, good enough profit. But based off on the system itself, I'm supposed to be in good profit. You get, the accounts should have been cleared, but I'm experiencing something else. So it became obvious to me that the issue that is going on is not about system at all. It's not about strategy. It's not about, I have to go and learn this, I have to go and learn that. It is none of those things. It is purely about me and how I am executing what I have, or how I am in control of all of those things. Because yesterday, right, I should have passed one of the accounts. But what did I do? I normally, based on the way I trade, I'm supposed to scale in into a position at a particular point. I scaled in, but when the market started sort of like going against me a little bit, I closed out the trade out of, I don't want to lose this profit that I've already seen. I closed the scaling position only for me to see market keep going in my direction. Eventually, if I had left the scaling position, my trade that got to 1 to 3.5, with the scaling position, it will have been 1 to 6, and I will just move on with my life. So all of these things I've seen, like, is, look at today now, because of the hard lesson that I learned yesterday. Obviously, this trade could still come and stop me out. But imagine if I had closed this trade when it was retracing against me 12 o'clock. Now I will be in pain.
It was going to hit your essence.
Yeah, I will be in so much pain. I will be so angry with myself. But another part of what I now realize, yes, this trade like this, actually it can turn all the way back and eventually hit stop loss. I have to also accept that does not still define me. Tomorrow again, I will come on the chart. I will still look at the chart based off of the same system that I used to enter this trade. It does not make me a bad person. It does not make me a terrible trader. I should even give myself accolades that I followed my plan. I stuck to my trading plan, and I did everything necessary that the system said I should follow. That is already what's it called? That is already a kudos that I'm supposed to give myself. A lot of times we prioritize results in terms of what we can see and not the things that we did. For example, now you are not praising yourself that you even found a good strategy. You are not praising yourself that you are working on your psychology. You are not praising yourself that you follow your trading plan and then you took a trade today after you've messed up. You've hesitated yesterday, you hesitated 2 days ago, and then you now told yourself that I'm tired of this hesitation, I want to take the trade. But you are not giving yourself any form of trade for you took the trade. Because oftentimes the result we are looking out for is, oh, I have to get that payout, or I have to get $10,000 withdrawal, or I have to get $50,000 withdrawal. We have always attached the sort of accolades to results in terms of something that we can maybe withdraw from the bank or payouts. But what I've now found out that is that yes, the payout is important. Yes, the withdrawal is important. But there is something that is much more important. What's that?
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Alright, cool. There is something that is much more important, which is the process that leads you to all of those things. And that process every day, right? That process has to be the same. Because if we say, okay, I have the way we trade is that we know and we understand that the outcome of every trade is unique. Because I have a what's the word now? I have a stable system that I use to get into a trade. My trading system is not random. I don't just get into a trade because I felt it, or because of feeling, or I'm gambling. No, you are getting into a trade because of a set system, because of things that the market says you should do, or things that your strategy says you should do. Let me put it that way. That's the reason why you are getting into that trade. But the outcome of that trade in itself, regardless of how you got into the trade, is still unique. It's still not the same as what happened previously, right? So it's all emotional work, the way I see it, and it's really very like mind opening, because we know that now it is all on you. You have to put in the work, and the work is not staring at the chart or doing strategy or doing trading plan, all of those things. The work is like inwards, looking and reviewing yourself every day. Why did I perform less today? Why did I close out my trade early? Why did I not wake up early to look at the chart? There are some times that when I mess up my routine, right? Because I'm trying as much as possible to build a very good routine for myself. I found out that on days where I'm not in front of my trading desk by 7 a.m., there are higher chances that I'm going to mess up that day. Because I love to see and watch what happens before the market opens. Pre-market, I love to observe and learn from all of those moments. So it is just gradual observation with so much attention in terms of like what you are doing in itself in all of those moments that would eventually help us as we keep growing. So yeah. So we'll keep putting in the work. We'll keep trying our best. Yeah, go ahead.
I think about this running out of trades, being scared of SL and all. It's not even about the financial status of the trader. Because was he some few days, anytime that happens, or anytime I'm scared of taking trade, I will ask myself, because I will then ask myself that what's the highest that can happen? I will lose the 1%. What's the worst that can happen? I will lose the account. How much did I used to buy? Presently now, I'm not buying big accounts because I know myself yet. I'm not there yet. So I'm like, how much is 6K accounts? How much are they selling 15K account? That like, so So it's not like if you close this account though, you will not see money to buy the account. You will definitely see money to fund
Yeah.
the trade. And it's not like the money to fund is one big a big part of my financial status that
Yeah.
is really going to affect me in real life. So I was not telling myself. So this thing is not even about. It's just about the fact that we humans we don't want to fail.
100%.
So like if you take forex as a business now, so that means that if I'm doing a business, I will be scared to try a new product because I don't know if they are going to.
You don't know if you don't know if the product is
I will lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that just boils down to another personality of ourselves that is influencing our decision in the trade. I don't know if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
I
I
get
just
you.
be like, okay, you know what you do? This thing, your 1% is gone, is gone. Leave
Yeah.
it. Anything market wants to
Exactly.
do, it will go. Even when
Hey.
now I've decided that anything that makes me to see all my available and I'm taking the trade, I don't want to start reanalyzing. I don't want to change bias once